Alright, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. Now, following UFC 296 at the post-fight press conference, the news was casually announced by Dana White that Michael Venom Page had been signed by the UFC and would be fighting Kevin Holland at UFC 299 in Miami, Florida. Now, there were a ton of people that were ultra excited about this news. I, for one, I'll be honest, was not all that excited. I feel as though Michael Venom Page is at the end of his career. I feel as though he's not really anything special, and the only time he looks special is against guys that nobody's ever heard of, and anytime he actually fights somebody decent, I feel as though his performance is very lackluster, I guess, okay? But I could potentially see a little bit of interest in a few matchups for him. But regardless, dude, following this news, Michael Venom Page went on Ariel Helwani show to talk about his signing, to talk about his plans for his UFC career, and all the rest of it. And I'll be honest, the dude seems like a nice enough guy. However, okay, there was one thing in particular that he said that had my blood fucking boiling. I don't know why I pointed to my head, but it just felt right in the moment, okay? Either way, Michael Venom Page, as I said, has been signed to the UFC for all of 10 fucking minutes, and he is already trying to advocate for punishment for certain kinds of trash talk, meaning fines, more specifically, okay? And I talked about this a little bit in my post-UFC 296 videos, where there was a reporter that asked Dana White about this sort of thing regarding the whole Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis situation. But for me, this coming from a fighter, and not some like soy media member, for some reason made me 10 times more irritated by it, especially considering Michael Venom Page is a massive showboater and on many occasions has taken his showboating to a certain level of, you could say, or one could say, disrespect, right? I'm going to play the clip for you guys and then we'll talk about it a little more after.
That's going to be an amazing fight. The talking, the trash talking, the build up is going to be good, but respectful. What I've been seeing so far in combat sports, I hate. I don't like it. I don't like people talking about people's fathers, people's wives, people's girlfriends, people's kids, all of that kind of stuff. We need to go back to martial arts. It's mixed martial arts, and everyone seems to have lost themselves a little bit. I have zero respect for people that feel the need to go there. We're skillful athletes, and that should be enough. I'm all for the banter. I'm all for the jokes and keeping it kind of friendly, and that should be enough to build a fight. And again, we can keep the intensity, but it should stay between me and the person that's fighting. For me, I feel like the UFC could, hand out fines, just do something, just to kind of alleviate. So people don't. If you're going to step over the, I'm not going to punish you open to the public, because I guess it helps with sales, I guess. But there you go. Have that fine. Let's see how often you're going to want to do things like that.
All right. So what this all stems from is what Colby Covington said regarding Leon Edwards' dad. Okay, and look, I don't really give a fuck about trash talk at all. Did I think it was a little bit low? Yeah. I guess so, right? But really the only reason I thought that is because Leon Edwards, like the rest of us that are born on planet Earth, can't control who our father is, right? There's no, we have no say in the matter. We don't even get to say whether or not we want to be born, okay? It just is what it is. So that's the only reason why I thought kind of a little bit of a low blow. Leon Edwards couldn't control that, and regardless, even if your parent is a shitty person, I for one don't have a relationship with my dad, but if they are, I could potentially understand somebody still having a decent relationship with their father. But at the same time, I can't for the life of me understand why words are focused on so heavily, so much, when the two men that are engaged in these words are literally going to go into a cage in shorts, with that's it, okay, and legally assault each other for 25 minutes. In the grand scheme of things, it just seems a little bit weird to be upset about words, considering the context of that, right? But Michael Venom Page thinks this was a fine-worthy event or a fine-worthy trash talk, and he expresses so to Ariel Helwani, who actually agreed with him, which drove me fucking nuts, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But, buddy, look, okay, I understand that you, Michael Venom Page, come from a country much like my own, unfortunately, okay, where we can be fined or even charged legally for uttering certain words or certain phrases or even a fucking joke, right? But this is America, motherfucker, okay? Well, at least the UFC is in America. And to me, and I believe many others, one of the appeals of the UFC is that they have not bowed down to the absolute bullshit wokeness that we see all these other sports organizations bowing down to. Dana has been pretty goddamn consistent that these guys can basically say whatever the fuck they want And while he might find it to be in poor taste because he expressed as much about what Colby Covington said about Leon Edwards' dad, he talked about how he hated it and all the rest of it, although he did say that it helped boost the pay-per-view numbers. But this is what the First Amendment is all about, dude. No speech that is loved by everybody needs protecting. It's the speech that is hated by so many is what the First Amendment is supposed to protect, okay? And while all of us that do not live in America might not be able to grasp this concept, in my opinion, Americans are lucky as fuck to have such a set in stone amendment there, because as I said, in my country, in Michael Venom Page's country, that does not exist here, okay? Something else that I want to point out, all of the implications or issues that could arise from such a stupid fucking policy, and this is why it drives me so crazy, why I brought it up post UFC 296, why I'm bringing it up now. All of the complications that could arise from something like this, for trying to fine fighters for saying naughty words or things that you don't like, okay? First of all, who the fuck decides what a finable offense is? That's one, right? And following that question, what if you, or anybody for that matter, does not agree with who is making those decisions, right? Okay, we would have a lopsided enforcement of said policy. What would be a finable offense? That's number two, right? And following that, what happens when you or the media members or whatever the fuck don't agree with it, right? Which 1000% would undoubtedly happen. It would almost be a worse PR, or it would almost be worse for PR, pardon me, when you would have probably about half of the public and probably about 80% of the media members, because the vast majority of them are bitches, okay, flipping a lid when somebody they agree with or somebody who said something they agree with is getting fined because of that, right? And this motherfucker said that the UFC should be the one finding them, right? Kinda behind the scenes, perhaps not all that public with it, like allow them to say the shit, but then behind the scenes, slap a bill down on them. And it's funny, okay? Because the very fucking media member that is agreeing with Michael Venom Page in this moment, that he was speaking to, Ariel Helwani, while agreeing with this sentiment, would be abso-fucking-lutely hypercritical of Dana White and the UFC once they did start implementing these fines. The very same media members that constantly shit on Dana White, talking about fighter pay, the fighters don't get paid enough, all this shit. Imagine the media storm that would follow big fucking bad daddy Warbucks Dana or whatever, dude, finding a fighter who maybe only made 50 grand for the fight that he just took part in. Imagine having half of that taken away because he dropped a word that the public was upset about, okay? Fucking ridiculous, right? People would lose their fucking minds, bud, which, you know, might be part of the motivation as to why Ariel Helwani is advocating for this now, because then he, you know, getting two birds stoned at once, boys. He could go and advocate for this shit so people get fined for things that they say, and he would love that because he's a bitch. And then he would also be able to shit on Dana White for fining these fucking fighters, right? I don't know why, man, but this shit just rubbed me the wrong way, especially, as I said earlier, coming from a fighter who literally just got signed to the UFC. I didn't hear you advocating for this kind of shit when you were over in Bellator, okay? And it's not like UFC fighters are the only ones on the face of the fucking planet that talk a whole lot of shit, right? But not just that, dude. In my opinion, Michael Venom Page is a massive fucking hypocrite, dude. I don't know why my body was just rejecting the swear word that was trying to come out of my mouth, okay? Because while some people might draw the line at talking about a dead dad or a wife or whatever the fuck regarding family, somebody else might draw the line at tossing a fucking Pokeball at a dude whose skull he literally just caved in. Do you know what I mean? Okay, Michael Venom Page is a massive showboater, and on many occasions, as I said earlier in the video, one could say is quite disrespectful at times. Now, he thinks that this is perfectly fine because his trash talk is kept between him and the guy that he's fighting. You know, as I said, people are going to draw the lines at different places. Somebody might not really give a fuck about bringing up family. Somebody's truly going to care that you tossed a Pokeball at a dude who potentially had a life-threatening injury on his hands. And the way Cyborg fell in that fight is not typical of a guy that's just been knocked out. Like, he grabbed his face and fell down as if there was something seriously wrong. And look, I don't even give a fuck about that. All I'm saying is, somebody might draw the line at a different place than what Michael Venom Page thinks it should be drawn at, right? And this is one of the can of worms that you open up, Michael Venom Page, when you want to find people for trash talk or for showboating after a win, which, by the way, does actually happen in organizations like the NFL, like the NBA. One of the many reasons I don't like watching the NFL is because of all the showboating after a touchdown or something like that. But even with the excessive amount of celebration that comes, they will still find guys for certain actions. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure one motherfucker, I think it was Ocho Cinco, dude, I don't know, I don't watch football, as I said, signed a football and tossed it into the stands or something like that. Dude had a Sharpie in his leg. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel as though he's been fined for celebrations before. But now that we're at the end of this video, okay, I want to put a theory out there as to perhaps why Michael Venom Page might be so concerned about fighters mentioning family members, okay? Because this was brought up to me by a very sleuth-like chat member, okay? If you take a look into what his dad is and the kind of shit that his dad has done, and I'm talking about Michael Venom Page now, it kind of makes sense, okay? Perhaps he is preemptively trying or hoping to shut down any trash talk that might come his way regarding his father, right? He doesn't want his father to be brought up in any fighter's trash talk towards him. And like I said earlier, dude, he can't control who his dad is, right? And I'm not going to hold Michael Venom Page accountable for the actions of his father. I don't think that that's correct. But holy fuck, would it be embarrassing for him, I would imagine, right? So in closing, honestly, dude, fuck Michael Venom Page for even lobbing this idea out there when you've been in the UFC for like a day, right? And it honestly made me less excited for him to be in the UFC, knowing that he's like some Karen type getting upset and advocating for actual punishments based on words. When, as I said earlier, they get in a fucking cage and they assault each other legally for 25 minutes. It's insane to me. All that being said, though, I hope Kevin Holland fucking sleeps him, because I'll say this, dude. If Kevin Holland cracks Michael Venom Page with the same kind of shot that he cracked and wobbled and hurt Wonderboy with in round number 1 of their fight, considering Michael Venom Page is a kind of wish version of Wonderboy, and when he arrives in the mail, you kind of think to yourself, why the fuck is the paint scheme so off, right? I think he would get slept by that shot, or at the very least be unable to recover because he would get finished shortly thereafter, perhaps even Darce choked or something along those lines. So, like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. I will see you at the next video. Bye-bye.